Welcome to this video demonstrating how to navigate around Open Clinica and how to successfully complete data entry for the recovery trial. First, a quick explanation of what Open Clinica is, as well as an introduction to some key terminology. Open Clinica is a clinical data management system used for electronic data capture and data management, which is accessed via a web browser. Currently, the supported web browsers are Chrome, Firefox and Internet Explorer. Before we log into Open Clinica, I will explain some key terminology used throughout the application. First, study. This refers to the trial, in this case recovery. Participant. This is a patient within the study. Event or study event. This refers to a data collection point such as randomization, follow-up or adverse events. This will become more apparent once we open the application. CRF, this stands for Case Report Form and is a form used to collect and contain data for a study event. And finally, queries. These are queries or annotations for data items where a value that has been entered is not as expected. Now let's look at the Open Clinica application. You will have received an invitation email which included your login credentials and a link to the Open Clinica application. Once you have successfully logged in, you'll be taken to the home page. At the top, you'll see the name of the study, Recovery, and the centre name, in this case, Manchester University. Underneath that, we have the navigation bar. Wherever you are in Open Clinica, clicking the Home button will bring you back to the home page for the current study or site. Depending on your role within Open Clinica, your home page will be different. In the case of data entry person or clinical research coordinator roles, your home page displays the participant matrix. Next, we have the participant matrix button. The participant matrix is a table within event information for all participants recruited at your site. This is where you can view, enter, and edit data for participants and their events in the study. Each row represents a participant. The first column contains the study participant ID, also known as the study number. All the subsequent columns contain the study events for the data collection points in the study. As you can see here, some of the study events are randomization, follow-up, and adverse events. If you have data entry access, the next button on the menu bar is the Add Participant button. You will not need to use this button because the participants are added automatically via the Recovery Randomization website, as shown in an earlier training video. Also, above the participant matrix table is another Add New Participant button. Do not click this one either. The next button on the navigation bar is the Queries. This displays a table listing all queries for this centre's participants, which is used to track and manage any data issues. For now, we are going to concentrate on the participant matrix. At the moment, this centre only has 15 recruits, so it's very easy to manage, but as the study progresses, we'll have more and more participants and they will be displayed across multiple pages. You can see at the top of the participant matrix is a drop-down list which changes the number of participants displayed on the page. This always defaults to 25, but you can change it to 15, 25, 50 or 100. To the left of this are navigation buttons. At the moment they are greyed out because we only have one page with 15 participants. But once there are more than 25 participants in the study, these buttons will turn green and you'll be able to use them to skip to the next page, the last page, and also to go back. Once you have a lot of participants in your study, you can also search for study number by typing it into the grey box under Study Participant ID and either pressing Enter on your keyboard or clicking Apply Filter in the Actions column. Here we see the result of using the filter. Click Clear Filter once you are done and you'll once again see all the participants in the participant matrix. You can also search for a participant using the search box, enter part or the complete participant ID and press View. You will notice the different icons displayed in the study events. These represent the different statuses for data entry in an event. There is a key on the left-hand side of the page for reference, but I will quickly explain the most common statuses and what they mean. Firstly, the green completed icon with the white tick indicates data entry has been completed. For the randomization event, the data are automatically transferred from the randomization website when a patient is successfully randomized into the trial. Secondly, we have the dark blue clock icon. This indicates the event has been scheduled and is ready for data entry. We automatically schedule some events when our participant is added because we are expecting data to be collected for these events. So, for recovery, we'll expect data to be entered by sites for the follow-up form. Events that are expected to be filled for a subset of participants, i.e. adverse events forms, will display the light blue icon. This means the form can be scheduled when the event needs to be completed. Finally, the orange icon with a white pencil indicates data entry has started but is yet to be marked as complete. So now that I've briefly explained the different data entry statuses, I'll demonstrate how to start and complete data entry for the follow-up study event. To ensure follow-up data are being entered for the correct participant, use the patient's NHS number or equivalent national ID number to identify the participant and obtain their study ID. If they were printed at the time of randomization, use the copy of the randomization details which are stored with the medical notes. If not, then log into the Recovery Randomization website and click View Recent Recruitment List, where you'll see a table showing all participants and their NHS or equivalent national ID number. If you do not know the password for the randomization website, please ask your PI. To start data entry for a scheduled event, click the dark blue scheduled icon and then click View Enter Data in the yellow pop-up window. This takes you to the study event screen for the selected subject. To get started, click on the Enter Data button in the Actions column. This will open the CRF. At the top of the CRF is the patient study number and date where they're randomized into the recovery trial. All questions on the follow-up form refer to the post-randomization period of the participant's hospitalization. Now let's enter some data. Firstly, the patient's date of birth. For questions, when the answer is a date, click the question and a date widget will appear. The default date is always the current date. To change the day, click on a day. You can change the month using the arrow navigation buttons. To change the year, click on the year and this will change the options to decades. You can then scroll through the decades using the arrow buttons. Once you have found the decade, click the decade and choose the year, followed by the month and day. In this example, I will choose the 19th of November 1984. You can also type a date into the text box without the calendar widget. This must be in the format year-month-day. You can see a warning message appears saying the date does not match the date that was entered at randomization. I'll show how this can be resolved later. For now, I will continue entering data for the remaining questions. For question 1, which of the following treatment or treatments did the patient definitely receive as part of their hospital admission? Please select all treatments the patient received as standard care and only include the allocated recovery study treatment if it was given to the patient. For all treatments the patient received, please select the number of days the patient received the treatment. In this example, the patient received dexamethasone for 10 days and remdesivir for 5 days. Next are a series of questions regarding convalescent plasma, which should only be answered if the patient received convalescent plasma as part of the recovery trial. If the patient did, select the number of infusions the patient received, then answer if any infusions were stopped early, followed by how many were stopped. In this example, the patient did not receive any convalescent plasma infusions. Question 2. Was a COVID-19 test done for this patient? If multiple tests were done and the results were positive and negative, please tick yes positive result and yes negative result. If no COVID-19 test was done, please tick not done. For question 3, we would like to know the patient's vital status. If they are still alive, please confirm if they are still hospitalized or have been discharged home. If the latter, please provide the date of discharge. If the patient has died, please provide the date of death. In this example, the patient was discharged home on the 23rd of April 2020. If the answer to question 4, did the patient require any form of assisted ventilation, is yes, you will then be prompted to ask 2 further questions. 4.1, for how many days did the patient require assisted ventilation? And 4.2, what type of ventilation did the patient require? If the patient required intubation, tracheostomy and mechanical ventilation, you will then be asked to enter the number of days they received invasive mechanical ventilation. In this example, the patient did receive assisted ventilation for 6 days, of which 4 days they received invasive mechanical ventilation. If the answer for question 5, has the patient been documented to have a new cardiac arrhythmia at any point since the main randomization, is yes, please tick any of the options that apply in question 5.1. For question 6, did the patient require use of renal dialysis or hemofiltration? Answer yes or no. Now that I've completed data entry, press the complete button, then the confirm button. You can see an alert message has appeared. This is because of the error with the date of birth. If data entered has no errors, this message will not appear. To resolve the error, click OK. Now, if the data was incorrectly entered, edit the date to the correct value. However, if the value is correct, you need to raise a query. To do this, click on the small speech bubble. This has opened the query form. Press the new button next to queries, then in the text box, provide some information. In this example, I will state the date of birth was incorrect when the patient was randomized, and the correct date of birth is the 19th of November 1984, as stated in the medical notes. To save the query, click Add Query. Now, click Complete, then Confirm. You will then be taken to the follow-up study event page for the patient, where you can see the data entry status has now changed to completed. If, for some reason, you need to change the data after data entry has been completed, you can do this by opening the CRF in Administrative Editing mode. You can do this by clicking the Administrative Editing button. This will open the form and allow you to change the data. If you do change the data, you will be required to provide a reason for change. I will now demonstrate how to edit the data and provide a reason for change. If you want to just view the data that has been entered, click on the View button. This will open the form in read-only mode. That concludes the Open Clinica navigation and data entry section of the Training for the Recovery trial.